Okay.
God,
I just
God.
clicked another button. Maybe now it went live. I guess we were live on one place earlier, but see if that fixed it, guys. Just put in the comments
Uh-oh.
if that is working now. I mean,
Thanks for
people
your
are definitely,
patience, guys, as we figure this out. Okay.
yeah. See
Oh,
if you guys.
technology. When it works, it's fantastic. When it doesn't, my nervous system starts going crazy. Can you walk me
Okay,
through
looks like
some live now?
okay. Can you guys see this live? Can you see us? Can you interact?
Someone in YouTube say hello. Let us know you can see us. All
Okay.
right. Well, thanks for your patience as you sorted that out. If you're just here now live on YouTube, I guess we've been streaming on Facebook for a little bit. Yes. Thank you, Michelle, for letting us know. I'm here live with the incredible Miguel Bautista. He is the founder of the CFS Recovery Program. He has had his own incredible, intense journey with severe ME/CFS, from bedridden to now fully recovered. And he's here live to answer all of your questions. So we've been diving through those, thinking we were live on YouTube the whole time. But hey, here we are. I'm glad we could be here for the wonderful people of Facebook up until this point. So yeah, let's keep it going. What's our next question?
Yeah.
All right, Veronica. I've been retraining for years and tried different approaches and programs, but nothing seems to move the needle. Are there some people where brain retraining just isn't the right answer? Yeah, that's a really great question.
Yeah, this is a great question. Well, what I would say is if you have done all your tests and scans and tried all the conventional approaches with doctors, even private doctors, and nothing else is working, then chances are it is probably some nervous system regulation that may need to happen. When we talk about brain retraining, also, this is probably a good topic to touch on because people hear brain retraining and they think of, oh, it's this fancy exercise you do X amount of time per day. Like you have to sit down, schedule it in, and really focus heavily on it. And it sounds like a pretty intense magical exercise, but all brain retraining is neuroplasticity. It's like reforming old neural pathways in your brain. So I always tell people, you know, even if you have CFS, even if you were once normal and now you can't do all the things you used to do, it's not like your brain uh, is not capable of doing that. Like it's able to do that. It just doesn't have access to those areas. It's almost like a computer software where there's certain folders that are locked away, and those folders basically hold the blueprint, the instructions on how to like walk down the street without flaring up or how to exercise without getting severe symptoms. It just doesn't have access to those areas of the brain. So what we're doing is we're trying to reawaken those areas and trying to get your brain to go down those pathways instead of just automatically going into a fight or flight stress state with any stimulation that occurs. So, as long as you've had your tests and scans done, and if those aren't working, I would highly recommend, probably stick to the brain retraining. And maybe it's not a matter of the knowledge. A lot of people, what they're really missing is the implementation. So maybe you just haven't found an approach that worked for you yet, or you haven't figured out how to translate what you're learning into your specific situation. Because maybe your symptoms are a little bit different from what you've seen in a video, or your brain just works a little bit differently and learns a little bit differently. So if it was me, I would probably stick to it. But that's just me.
Yeah, Veronica, that's a tough question. And I know it's frustrating when you think like, I'm doing all the things, I'm doing everything that everyone's saying is working and it's not working for me. So am I wasting time going down this path? And like Miguel said, if the tests are coming up normal and we all have we'll have normal abnormalities. So we're all going to have things we find in our body. Everyone's got a certain amount of latent viruses and, bone problems, so no adult human is going to be perfect head to toe. But if generally speaking, doctors are saying you're okay, then I would stick with it. And sometimes it's hearing it explained by somebody else. Sometimes there's just a little something that clicks. Sometimes it's realizing that brain retraining, a big part of it is just stopping brain retraining and just focusing on trying to live a little bit and find some joy in your life. And the brain retraining and nervous system regulation applies to everybody. And if you're living and breathing, this applies to you, and there's no condition on the planet in which it isn't going to impact your recovery and nervous system regulation and brain retraining. Sometimes you just got to start really small, because it's like someone who's learning how to swim and we throw them into a wild, crazy ocean and then try and teach them the skills. It's just, we're setting you up to fail. So you're going to put them in the kiddie pool, in a swimming pool. So it might just be for you, like doing simple activities during the day and just notice things coming up. I don't know how mobile you are, but being at the grocery store and the person in front of you is moving too slowly and you can feel your nervous system revving up. It's just sort of learning to regulate things in those calmer everyday moments. And throughout the day, that's where you really build the muscle. And then you can sort of level up and start using it for dealing with emotions and stronger symptoms. But yeah,
Mhm.
I would agree. I would stick with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely would too.
Yeah. All right. Great question. Next up from Hopeful. Love the name. I am severe as a widowed mom. We live with my parents. I'm so overwhelmed and can't pace because my kids need me so much. How to gently begin when you can't get enough rest? I've improved a little already. That is such a
Mm.
great question. And we get so many like that from people. Like, I have all these very real life circumstances. I can't exist in a bubble. So how do I do this?
Yeah, yeah, and then, that's a tricky situation, but, whoever asked that question, the name is Hopeful, but probably a different real name you have, but, um, you know, there have been a lot of people who have been in very difficult situations where it felt like the cards were stacked against them, and they still pulled through, and they still figured out a way to recover. So the good news is it sounds like you do have some kind of support system because you are living with your parents, but you also have the responsibility of raising kids while trying to, fix yourself and recover from this stuff. So this is something we've seen, inside Recovery Academy, because we actually host caregiver calls now, because we understand that even if it's just one person sick, if they're living with other people, it's really going to be a team effort. It's going to be a group effort, because it really does make a difference when the caretakers or the support system understands what's going on. Um, Really, a few things we try to instill with that recovery team, we call it the support system, the individual who's sick, and us, for example. Um, One, it's understanding, having the support system understand what's even going on in the first place. Why is this person going through this? Why is Hopeful experiencing all these symptoms, and why is she severe? Two is, what is she working on right now that's going to solve these things? Why is she even coming to these calls? Why is she implementing these things? Three, what can she expect in the next month or 2 months, or 3 months, right? And then how best can how can the support system best support her? So I would really lean on your parents, right? A lot of us come down with CFS or long COVID because we are perfectionists, or we tend to overdo it, or we don't really ask for help, or it's difficult for us to ask for help because we want to do everything ourselves. So that would be probably my number one suggestion, is don't be afraid to ask for help. Literally write down all the responsibilities you feel like you have, and then see what you can delegate to them, or see where they can come in and help maybe cut that list in half. And they'd probably be happy to do it. And if you explain to them, hey, I'm working on my nervous system, it's not going to be like this forever. I just need a helping hand right now. I think that's going to help. And another thing is, with kids, that can add some extra pressure to recover in the fastest time possible. I mean, I've seen it hundreds of times. There's a parent, and then there's kids. As the days and weeks and months, even years go on, they feel like they need to recover faster and faster because they're watching their kids' life just pass by. So it can feel like this heavy external pressure where you feel rushed, but I would flip that. Instead of, maybe seeing them as stressors, look at that as kind of like your North Star goal. Use that to inspire you, um, and kind of reframe that. Reframe it from, it's so hard to recover because I have to take care of these kids, to, I can't wait to recover. I can't wait to do all these fun things. And I'm going to appreciate it that much more when I do get better and we can go on those vacations and I can run around with them. We could go to the beach. So we've seen that to be really helpful as well, because I think it's just natural for parents to see raising children as an extra stressor. Like, that's just natural. But you have to force yourself to reframe that and flip it on its head to see it as the ultimate motivation to get better and your reason to keep doing the brain retraining, to keep showing up for yourself. So tricky situation, but absolutely solvable. And I fully believe you could do it because I've seen it happen so many times. So keep on going.
I
Hope that
love
helps.
that so much, Miguel. And I've interviewed so many people who are parents, single parents in tricky situations. Is it a bit more challenging? I'm sure that it is. Is it impossible? Absolutely not. And I would just like to take a moment because you mentioned the word rest, and it's I can't get enough rest, and you have severe symptoms. So, if nervous system regulation is at the core of what's going on for you right now, of course, everybody needs rest. It's part of being human, but your body's already in shutdown. So more stillness isn't going to help you to recover more quickly. What it needs is that rewiring. What it needs is that retraining of the nervous system, that getting up and doing a few things is okay. I know it's challenging because we feel so exhausted and it just feels like if only I can get some more rest, I could do this. But I have yet to meet a single person that has rested their way out of this. So it's a challenging thing to navigate because we don't want to overdo it, but just to keep that in mind as well, that it isn't that if you just got enough rest, your body would be okay. Because we're working with different systems to get rid of those symptoms. But yeah.
Absolutely.
All the best to you, hopeful. Okay, next question. Matt. Hey, Matt. Any advice for someone stuck in the last 25% of recovery? Oh, excellent question. Because Matt, you are not alone. So many people find this. I've been using retraining practices to great effect and almost return to normal activities, but still experience symptoms most days. Love this question.
Yeah, that's a great question. We get asked that probably every other day inside the academy. And what we found is, yeah, people tend to have this sticking point around that mark. I don't even like to use percentages, but basically when they're semi-functional, like they can drive, they can go out, have a social life, they may even be working and exercising, like Matt. But yeah, there are still little remnants of the CFS, little residual symptoms happening. What we've found to work the best is really just focusing on living life, like having that as the absolute priority. Because how it works is in the beginning of any recovery journey, right? The priority typically is heavily geared towards, okay, I got to recover. I got to do everything I can to be healthy again. So that priority is up here, recovery focused. And then everything else goes on the back burner, like your social life, work, exercise, all of these things are way down here. Focus on recovery is up here. As you get better and better, that balance starts to shift. So the priority of recovery goes down because you don't need to be as careful. You're not flaring up as much. You're not as hyper vigilant. So naturally, that goes down over time while the priority in other things in life start to go up. You start going out, you start working, you start actually having a life outside of recovery. But this can kind of get stuck over here. So I would just focus more on doing these other things, like just living basically. And that's what we teach people. And that seems to help a lot. That's one, is shifting the focus from recovery to just living life. But number two, and this is a huge golden nugget. So if you have a pen or paper, just like definitely write this down. Don't focus on this whole finish line, this 100% place, because I'll tell you, because I guess I've reached 100%. I've gone well beyond that. The closer you get to it, the more you realize that whole 100% is a mirage. There is no ceiling to your potential. You know, I'm doing more than I did prior to getting CFS. Whereas my goal before was just to be functional again. It was like, if I could just do all the things I used to do, I'd be happy. That'd be like winning the lottery. If I could just walk outside. But as humans, you're always going to want a little bit more. So even if you're bedridden right now or couch bound, I guarantee you, when you're driving a car outside, And when you're traveling, you're going to be thinking, oh, I'm at like 98%. How do I get to that 100% is a mirage. Like doesn't exist. And I'm actually about to film a YouTube video about this, but you don't want to put 100% limit on your potential, because you're basically capping how much you can grow. And it's interesting, as you get better from CFS, you're not just getting better physically, but you change as a person. Like your mindset changes, because most people, they don't really go back to the person they once were. So you kind of reinvent yourself, and then you start to realize like, wow, there's just endless growth. Like for the rest of my life, I'll just be continue growing in all these different areas. So I would get rid of the finish line, the 100% thing. I would actually get rid of all of that. 75, 80, 65 doesn't even matter. As long as you're moving in the right direction, that's what you should focus on. And I think if you do that, naturally, you'll see your symptoms just start to slip away. And we see it all the time. And just getting rid of that finish line seems to work wonders for this particular kind of question.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm thinking too of my own experience and of people that I interview. Something else that comes up is that once you're in that 75%, whatever we want to call it, you do start living more. And when we're working with nervous system regulation, it's like gradual re-exposure therapy. So you're going to start doing more, and doing more brings up symptoms. So for me, I got through that final stretch, and it's a big ask, but once you get there, it's a game changer to just not pay attention to the symptoms. Be like, yeah, symptoms are a part of it. Oh, I'm doing something new. Oh, I'm back on Zoom calls. Oh, I'm going for walks again. Oh, I'm hitting the gym. I'm starting to run again. Oh, I'm back in the office. Little symptoms, like every new thing that you do might bring up some symptoms. And that's just because you're going back into the world. So there's just going to be little flares that come up, and you don't love them. We're not going to pretend that they're fun, but just, yeah, they're there. And just, I saw them as a part of getting better. So if you can find a way to be at peace with those symptoms as you're gradually bringing new things back into your life, and just be like, come along, symptoms, come for the ride. Yep, going to work today. I feel you. This is just my nervous system putting on a show. It's going to fizzle out. I think that's helpful as well.
Yeah, but congrats on getting to, your level in recovery, Matt. That's awesome. So just keep it up. It sounds like you're crushing it.
Yeah, you're going the right direction. You got this. All right. Next up, we have Costness. I don't know what this is. If this was I don't know if this was a super thanks. If so, thank you. Or if your name is Costness for $4.99. All right. But anyways, so your question. My heart rate goes higher and symptoms flare while car is driving. What could be the cause? Have you ever heard of this?
Oh yeah. Not only have I heard of that, I've definitely experienced that many, many times. Actually, this one time I remember I was in the car. This is before I was bedridden, but I was going downhill with my health. I was in the car, and then my dad was there, my brother was there. We were driving over a bridge. And then next thing you know, my brain just starts going down this rabbit hole. It's crazy how the brain works and just panics and downward spirals. But I was like, oh, is there going to be an earthquake? What if we crash on the bridge? Are we going to get stuck here? We're going to hold up traffic. And within 10 seconds, I went from, oh, that, nice wind on my face in the car, to thinking, I got to get out of this car. Panic attack, severe symptom flare up. Now, looking back, knowing what I know about the nervous system, it was just too much stimulus. Like the music was loud, the windows were open, there was wind blowing in my face. I think my dad was driving pretty fast, cars flying by, and it's a lot of stimulation. So it'll keep the nervous system on edge, especially if it's hypersensitive. So that's probably what's happening. There's just a lot to process, right? You're probably thinking, oh, what if we get into a crash? Or even just naturally, it's too much movement. The same reason someone with a hypersensitive nervous system, if you put them in a downtown square, downtown center, with thousands of people walking by, buses driving, cars driving, lights going off, that person's probably going to have a higher heart rate, maybe some palpitations, maybe some shortness of breath, because there's just too much to process. That is exertion for your brain, similar to how walking is exertion for like your muscles physically. There is cognitive exertion, and that's probably what happened, quite normal, quite common with CFS.
I've interviewed a couple of people who talked specifically about this, and they had to start with such baby steps, and that they would go out to their car in the driveway and just sit in it for a minute and then get out and go back inside. And then the next day they might get in, not even start it, just turn the radio on, sit there for a minute, turn it off, go back inside. Next day, get in, turn it on, let it run for a minute, and you get the picture. Next, maybe the day after that, back out of the driveway, pull back in. It's a painful process. You're like, wow, this is a lesson in patience. But it's just, again, that gradual re-exposure therapy. Get your nervous system slowly seeing that it's safe. Because, yeah, it's a lot speeding down the road in a fast-moving metal box. I mean, it's amazing that all of us aren't freaking out all of the time. So, yeah, really good question.
That's a great suggestion as well. That's exactly what we tell people. We build that into their plans. Like, just go in, like, put the key in, don't even start it. Next day, start it. Next day, put it in reverse, but don't move. The next day, don't get out of the driveway, but reverse like 5 feet. Gradual exposure.
Yeah. All right, Kaylee. Hey guys, the 2 people who first showed me the way out. Thanks, Kaylee. So nice of you to share that. For a year, I've been visualizing doing my recovery interview with you both. Kaylee, Mitchell, you are welcome anytime. I would be honored to help share your story. I'm sure Miguel would as well.
Kaylee's crushing it. She's a thriver.
Yeah. Here's Kaylee. Woohoo! Go, Kaylee. You've got this. I'm really excited to talk to you. It'll be a fun conversation. All right. Madalena, lately I've noticed that I experience rotating symptoms, but on a lower intensity. Before, I haven't paid any attention to the symptoms, and all of a sudden I felt that internal tremor or electric shock. Rotating symptoms. What's going on?
Welcome to the level up. It sounds like you're about to level up. We see this quite a bit, actually. We call these curveball symptoms. So it's actually a sign that things could be moving in the right direction. Basically your nervous system, if you realize that you've gotten comfortable or you become neutral with these other symptoms. So you just said that you didn't really notice the symptoms, which means you were responding pretty well to the point where your brain just on autopilot didn't care about the symptoms. So your brain will do whatever it can to try to keep you in a fight or flight mode. So now it's changed up the formula, its cocktail of symptoms, to just try to get your attention and get under your skin. So I would see this actually as a good sign. Every time I had a change up in symptoms, I saw it as, wow, this is symptom rotation. This is great. It's throwing me a curveball. It's really testing me to see if I'm ready for the next level. So it doesn't mean you just push through it and you do all this crazy stuff, but just understand what your nervous system is trying to do to you. So I kind of made it like a game. I would think, oh, you're throwing me a curveball. This is a little quiz. It's a little test to get to the next level. Actually, somebody mentioned it on a group call the other day. She was like, the flare-ups. These flare-ups, sometimes you have quizzes, sometimes you have tests, sometimes you have exams. So quizzes are like little flare-ups. It's fine, whatever. Tests they're a lot bigger. Exams, those are like the big, we call them adjustment periods or flare-ups. And if you can pass those, you get to the next level and you just keep leveling up. Your body will grant you more capacity because now it trusts that you won't downward spiral and you're actually ready for the world. So congratulations. I would say things are moving in the right directions.
Yeah, I was smiling when I read that question because I was thinking, you are on a good path. I know it doesn't feel like it, but even as far back as Dr. John Sarno talked about this, and he coined the term, this symptom imperative. And that's what Miguel is saying essentially, is because these are the tools your body has to get your attention. And once you're on to some of them, you're like, oh, I'm onto this one. I'm onto that one. I see what it is. It no longer works. So your nervous system's like, what else can I throw it at? Let me try and trick you with this one. Or so yeah, it sounds crazy, but generally speaking, the more symptoms you have and the more they're moving around, the more it means that you're on the right path and that what you have is very much reversible. So yeah, just don't freak out. All right. Mary Carmen Milan, what a cool name. What are your recommendations regarding the resistance one feels when trying to change old habits?
Shout out to Mary Carmen, another thriver right there, absolutely crushing
Ooh.
it. Come a very long way. So, recommendations regarding resistance to changing old habits. Um, Depending on how deeply the habits are ingrained, like the more difficult it will be. I'll admit there are certain patterns or habits that I have that I'm still trying to fix or improve, like being addicted to my phone, like scrolling, doom scrolling till 2 a.m. sometimes. It's not good. But there's also other habits where, you know, I'm trying to do more deep work or trying to exercise more consistently. Whenever there's resistance, I know that there's a quote from Dr. John DeMartini. I've taken it's a personal development coach, but basically maximum growth occurs on the borderline of support and challenge. So comfort and discomfort, right in that middle ground, that's where maximum growth occurs. So if there's some resistance in something I'm trying to change, I know that, okay, on the other side of this resistance to that change is probably something really good. It's probably a level up because nothing in life that was amazing came easy, right? Or there was some kind of challenge to get to it. So I look at it as like a next challenge for me. And the more difficult something is to attain and achieve, the more I know it's going to be worth it. Kind of like with CFS. So you could take what you learned from CFS and Murray Carmen, I know you have like made such strides in your recovery, come such a long way. So I would look at how difficult was it to recover from CFS? How many times did you have to talk yourself into doing the work and telling yourself this is worth it? Let's keep on going. And visualizing what's on the other side of all this challenge. Look how much it was worth it. So I would take that same mindset and apply it to changing any kind of old habits. But basically, when I'm trying to change things, I know the harder it is to change, the more worth it probably is, and the more benefit I'm going to get out of it, and the better I'm going to feel. But it's still hard, though.
I
I still
love.
struggle.
Oh, absolutely. I think every human on the planet does. It's just part of the human condition. There's a positive psychology professor, Cory Muscara, who I love, and he talks about falling in love with the part of yourself that's clinging to that habit, because that habit probably served you at some point, even if it no longer does. So just like give yourself a hug for trying to take care of yourself, for trying to soothe yourself, trying to keep yourself safe, trying to do what you need. And we will choose what's expected over the unknown every single time. It's a survival mechanism in our brain, because even if we keep doing this habit and we can tell that we're not thriving by doing it, our brain knows that we'll be alive by the end of it every single time. So there's discomfort for all of us to reach into the unknown and let go of something that our brain knows, even if it's kind of not the best for us, it is safe. So just have some patience with yourself. And Cory Muscara describes it like, picture like you have this $100 bill in your hand and it served you well and you know what you can do with it and you get it every week and you understand the budget. But if you let go of that 100, you can grab onto 1,000, and you just gotta like be okay to be in that middle place for a little bit of unknown. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with 1,000. I'm pretty sure it's going to be better, but it's still scary. So just having some patience with yourself while you're in that transition, because your body, your brain, everything is making you cling to these habits, and it's going to be uncomfortable. But you
Yeah.
can do it.
There's a quote I want to share really quickly about that. Yeah, your brain prefers, what is it? Familiar discomfort over unfamiliar comfort.
Mhm.
So it would rather stay the same, even if the same is painful and uncomfortable and just not good,
Yeah.
versus a potential something that's even better. And I think that's why, for me, I had tried so many things in the past to recover. I had tried so many brain retraining programs, supplements, medications, things like that, and it didn't work. Eventually, it got to the point where I was like, is it even worth it trying
Yeah.
another approach? I don't want to be disappointed, because right now sucks. I'm stuck in bed, but like it would hurt even more if I try something and I fail another time. Like I can't take any
Yeah.
more failure. So there was a time when I was just like kind of like existing. And I was like, I don't know where my life's going to go from here, but I don't want to keep trying new stuff if 99% chance is going to fail. So I was starting to get into that mindset before, but luckily there was that 1% that was like, no, we're not staying here for the rest of our life. And now
I
we're here.
love that. I love that. All right. Next up, we've got Johannes. Oh, I think we have this one. Had this one already.
Mm-hmm. I think this was the first question.
We did have this one. Okay. Sunbirder. Hi, Miguel. When I'm in an AP adjustment period, I've learned, and fatigue is very strong, how does responding well to symptoms look like in detail? Like what does it
Mm-hmm.
really look like to respond well to crushing fatigue?
Mm-hmm.
Love
Yeah,
that question.
great question. So in terms of what it looks like physically, you wouldn't really be able to tell because this is going to be an internal, I don't want to say battle, but responding well is that all happens internally, you know. So what does it look like inside your brain? Like what's going through your mind when you are in a thick AP? What does responding well look like? So number one, whenever you're in an AP, and you mentioned crushing fatigue, anytime you have some kind of extreme symptoms, number one, definitely stay inside of your 3 foot world, because I've been through it hundreds of times. We can start to think, oh, this is so intense. I wonder how long this is going to last. I wonder how much I've delayed my recovery. Did I have a setback? Will I be able to go do that thing in a month from now? Am I going to crash? Like these things, there's a lot of anticipation going on in the brain. So only focus on your 3 foot world. The only thing that matters is what's in your 3 foot vicinity right now and what's going to happen in about 3 minutes from now, or 3 seconds, actually. I really try to stay present in the moment, and just respond the best I could. Now, responding the best, when I was in an adjustment period, it's like I was being bombarded with intrusive thoughts. So everything I just said, these things will pop into your brain literally hundreds of times a day. Did I crash? Am I getting worse? How am I ever going to get better? I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I messed up. All these things will will pop up in your brain. You have to tell yourself, oh, you have to remind yourself it's just the hypersensitive nervous system. It's a hypersensitive nervous system. Even the thoughts, I looked at those as symptoms, because they always, all the negative thoughts increase whenever I was in a flare up. So I would just swat them away as much as I could. I would not engage with the thoughts. That's another big thing. Because the moment I start engaging and I start asking myself, oh, I wonder if I am crashing. Let me go back to another time that I had these similar symptoms. Oh, yeah, that was really bad. I ended up crashing. Don't engage with those thoughts at all. So a lot of it is, it's responding well to not just the symptoms, but the thoughts behind those symptoms. Keep those internal conversations as brief as you can, and just keep telling yourself that this is temporary, right? And this is your opportunity to level up. Anytime you have an adjustment period, that is an opportunity. That is the window where change can happen, because you're teaching your brain that it doesn't need to go in this downward spiral and stay in this fight or flight state. So I actually got pretty excited when my symptoms flared up. And the more intense they were, in the back of my mind, I knew it's like a bigger trampoline to bounce off of to get to the next level. So I had to reframe it and look at it that way. But of course, yeah, there was fear. There were some thoughts that came in, and I was like, am I in over my head? Did I bite off a little bit more than I could chew? Will I be able to handle this? And those thoughts, I had to immediately shoo them away and be like, no, you're a symptom thought. No, you're not real. No, it's a hypersensitive nervous system. So those are a few things I would do. And I hope that helps in terms of responding well. Don't engage with the thoughts. Keep reminding yourself this is an opportunity, because then you'll start to reframe the way you see them. And even just reframing it from a very negative thing to something that can actually be positive, that will help speed up how fast you come out of this AP.
Yeah, and I also would just suggest that the next time the crushing fatigue comes up, that you instead refer to it something like a silly banana. Be like, that silly banana's back. Look at it dancing around. Like, use goofy voices. Anything to take the power away. Oh, silly banana. It sounds
Yeah.
goofy, but anytime you can be playful and childlike and not use scary terminology to make it feel even harder. But yeah, I love that answer, Miguel. And for people who are watching, listening, I know people who are familiar with Miguel probably know exactly what he's talking about. I know you use concepts like adjustment period. And so these are coming from his CFS recovery program. So we'll, of course, have that linked in the description. If you're curious about it, if you want to learn more, there's different levels, different options, really great coaches. So all of these concepts he's talking about, that's where this is coming from. If you're primarily watching my channel and not familiar with some of these things that he's sharing. But yeah, great question. All right. Northern Light. Ooh, I like this name as well. When I come out of an adjustment period, I feel like I have too much energy in me, like overdrive. Is that common? And how do I manage that?
Yes, absolutely. That is very, very common. So what's happening is our brain and our body, it doesn't do the best job at, I guess, distributing and managing our energy levels, especially coming out of adjustment periods. So what happens is typically in an adjustment period, which that's what we call a flare up, you're going to have fatigue along with a whole bunch of other interesting symptoms, unpredictable symptoms. There can be a different mix of them. But yeah, coming out of it, your body starts to give you energy, right, to do more things. But the thing is, it doesn't just give you a normal amount sometimes. It can just shoot adrenaline in your body. So we typically see a lot of adrenaline rushes, a lot of frantic, like anxious energy, but it's coming from adrenaline because our body doesn't know how to distribute that energy properly. So it just shoots it all at once. It's like if you were cruising in a car going 10 miles per hour and then somebody just hit the nitros and all of a sudden you're going 100 miles an hour, right? The brain, when it's in a hypersensitive state, it doesn't do a very good job of shifting between different gears. It's like 0 to 100 very quickly, or 100 to 0. It'll slam on the brakes. So it doesn't really have this smooth process of like transitioning different levels of energy. So that's probably what's happening. So what you want to do here is when you do get those adrenaline rushes and that kind of shaky energy, I would take it easy for a handful of days, 3 or 4 days. Even if you have tons of energy, don't go out and spend it all until you hit a wall. That's what people do. And that's what causes them to be in a push and crash cycle. So take it easy, leave a lot of extra energy in the tank until the energy stabilizes. Because when you're in an AP, your energy levels will be down here, and then it's going to shoot up to like up here. Then it's going to come back down. It's going to stabilize, and you're going to feel a little bit more normal, less wired energy. So I would just give it a little bit of time after the AP until it stabilizes. You could still do stuff, but I would leave a lot more energy in the tank than you think you have, just so you don't overdo it.
I was smiling while you were talking, Miguel, because I was envisioning sending you in a time capsule back to me when I had CFS for all of those times that came up. Because every time it happened, it'd be like, yes, let's do all the things I've wanted to do for the last month and couldn't do. And then I just, and then just, I think it's an understandable response, but I know at least for me, it never worked out well.
Yeah.
So yeah, really helpful. Helpful for sure. Okay, Arsh. Miguel said a quote earlier about brain preferring the familiar even with its painful. How do you deal with that? Thanks.
Yeah, so this goes back to that resistance to change question, right? Our brain would rather choose familiar discomfort over unfamiliar. What is it? Yeah, familiar discomfort over unfamiliar comfort. Yeah, something like that. You guys hit the point. Just understand that I think with anything in life, not even just CFS, whenever you're trying to level up in a certain area, there's going to be some kind of barrier to get to that level. So if you have that resistance to change, just understand like that's you trying to play it safe. That's your brain trying to play it safe because it doesn't want to risk going that little bit more because it doesn't know what's going to happen. It'll rather stay the same. So I kind of covered it earlier, but but just recognizing when there is resistance to change, and also understanding that, are you wanting to change because, somebody says that you should read more books, or you should sleep at a certain time, or you should eat this diet? Are you doing it because of them, or because you really want to and it aligns with your goals and what you want to do? So when it comes to recovery, it's a little different because, I'm sure you want to get better, right? So it does align with your values to change. But when it comes to recovery, it's more like a risk thing, because a lot of people, they recover up to a certain point and they work so hard to get there. And even just getting to that somewhat functional point where they're getting by, they've had to crash so many times. They increased activity, got a little bit better, crashed, a little bit better, went backwards. So just to get to a semi-functional state, they've already been through battles. So they associate growth with pain, right? So then they start to think, is it worth it to keep on going and try to get to that, that ideal place, if there's so much pain that's going to come along with it? But the thing is, as you get better and better, you will start recovering naturally, and you actually don't have to brain retrain as much. You actually don't have to manually instill these habits. And that's the great thing about habits. They're only difficult in the beginning. That's why they're called habits. Then they happen naturally. So it's really only when you're trying to create the change and create the momentum, that's the difficult part. But it's not always going to be like that. It's like trying to get a giant boulder rolling. In the beginning, you'll push and push, it won't move. But eventually, once it's rolling, you have to use 1/100th of the effort, and then it'll roll faster and faster. So just getting the ball rolling, understanding that is going to help as well, help you implement change.
Yeah, I find even just understanding how it works, just like with brain retraining and nervous system regulation, it helps me be more self-compassionate when I think, why do I keep doing this thing that I know isn't optimal for me, but I keep going back to it over and over and over again. And when I understand, oh, this is the path my brain's going to push me on, it's normal, it's okay, everybody goes through this. And then, like everything, once you bring it into conscious awareness, and then you can shift that path and do something new and be like, okay, it's going to feel a little strange. My brain's pushing back. That's okay. Okay, so we've got a lot of questions coming in. We're coming up just about on time. I'm thinking, Miguel, it's time to put you in the rapid fire seat and see how many we can get through in maybe the next 5 minutes. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, what's up next? Christina. I am in a constant state of fight or flight, like so many people are. I can never relax inside. I'm stuck in a fear loop. I'm so scared of the feeling. I haven't really gone through good periods in a long time since May. How can I get unstuck? Oh, my heart goes out to you, Christina. All right, Miguel.
Yeah. So honestly, start with one thing. Just try to focus on one thing. I always recommend, if you focus on just responding well to symptoms, it's going to get you unstuck. We can get caught in the trap of thinking the more we do of all these different things, the faster we will recover, versus just keeping it simple. If you can, also another thing, if you can stay in your 3-foot world, don't think about the future, don't think about the past, don't think about how long you've been stuck at this place for. Just focus on today. That's it, and respond well. Like, I guarantee you're going to get unstuck. So get rid of all timelines. I would say that.
Brilliant. Yes, so important. Okay. May New. What does the science say? What's the approach in your program? I know some people focus more on strength training while others prioritize walking outside. Ooh, a few layers to that question. All right, Miguel.
Yeah, definitely a few layers. I would say our focus is starting off building a strong foundation, which starts internally, understanding the concepts. If you understand what's going on, it removes a lot of the anxiety, because you're never questioning, why is that happening? Why is that happening? You know exactly why it's happening when you understand the stuff. And then I would start adding in the basics. Like, what can you do around the house? What are some basic chores, basic hygiene, taking a shower every day, cooking your own food, then doing groceries? Naturally, you will start to get stronger and stronger. I didn't even start strength training until I was pretty functional and I could drive and do groceries and hang out with friends. Because naturally, you will do strength training as you're cooking, as you're standing in the shower. And I don't know the level of severity you're at, so it's hard to answer the question, but I would always start with understanding the fundamentals of recovery, understanding the stress threshold, adjustment periods, progress cycles, because those are applicable to all different stages of recovery. You can, if you understand that, you can recover.
Very well said. Okay, next. Courageous, compassionate healing, another great name. I can feel really defeated sometimes over the length of time it is taking. How do we maintain hope and motivation?
Yeah, get rid of the timelines.
Yeah.
I would say if there's one thing to take away from this call, it's getting rid of timelines. The timelines are the thing that's going to like handcuff people to this illness, because the longer you stay sick for, the more you're going to kind of beat yourself up and think how much you've missed. But really, I think of CFS like it's like the ultimate personal development course. So all this time that you're in this illness, it's not really wasted time. You're learning things about yourself that you never would learn about yourself if you weren't in this illness. So there is some kind of benefit that you're getting out of this that other people don't even get. People who never get CFS, they wouldn't go this deep into their own mind and understand themselves at this level, because they were never forced to, but we are. So I would get rid of timelines. That's probably the biggest thing. You know, the more you focus on a timeline, the harder it's going to be to hit that timeline. And it's going to put unnecessary pressure on.
I know it can sound like a really big ask, like how, and it's not that you don't care about when you're going to recover and you're not thinking about the future, because of course you want to feel better. But there's a term that we talk about in recovery, clock watching, and it's been wired into us since we were children. We want to know when everything's going to end. And when we don't, it really stresses us out. But that feeling of clock watching, it has your nervous system on high alert. So by just as Miguel was saying, it really is important as much as you can, and it'll take time, but to let go of those timelines, because it really is going to send messages of safety to your nervous system that everything is okay. All right, one more from Carolyn. Do you think addiction to nicotine gum is a coping mechanism that needs to be fixed to move forward in recovery?
Probably. If you're relying on something like nicotine gum, which is a stimulant to help you maintain energy levels, and if you're relying on it, then I could see it as being a hamper to recovery. Now, full transparency, every now and then I use a nicotine gum. I use certain stimulants sometimes. I'm drinking coffee and something called MCT powder. Yeah, we're both drinking coffee, but I know I could go without it. And I went several years without coffee. So if you're still on the recovery journey and you're relying on these external things to keep you level, unless it's medication that's prescribed to you by doctors, if it's something like a stimulant that isn't prescribed, I think it probably could hamper recovery. I'm not saying it's wrong. It may take longer for your nervous system to become regulated, but hey, if you like doing it, you can keep on doing it. Just understand what it comes with, but I think you could still recover.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think we all lean a little bit on these sorts of things in our recovery. It's just making sure it's not the predominant thing. And stimulants do stimulate your nervous system. So this could be working against you if this is a regular thing. All right. So a great way to finish up. Thank you so much for the super thanks. I appreciate it. Now I understand what that means. Your name isn't costing us. Does Miguel coach? Where can I find him? So yeah, a great transition over. Just tell us, what do you have available for people who are facing these conditions?
Yeah. So similar to you, we have a free YouTube channel. We have over 2,000 videos on there right now. Pretty much every symptom, every roadblock someone can run into with CFS or long COVID, we have a video about it. And if people need more help, we do have other, we call them recovery systems available. We have a do-it-yourself system, we have a group coaching system, and then we have a one-on-one system. But really, what we don't do is have people come in, watch a bunch of videos inside, and we say, okay, good luck, go figure it out, come to some group coaching calls. We We have a diagnostic assessment and a nervous system health analysis tool that helps us identify specific symptoms, specific activity levels, roadblocks, and it helps us come up with personalized plans for people. So we know exactly what to do based on data. So we're not just guessing what someone should do. Because we have hundreds of recovery cases we've seen and coached, we know what works and what doesn't for every single stage of recovery. So, if people want to see if we can help them, they could go to our YouTube or go to the link in the description, and they'll be able to fill out a questionnaire to see if we can actually help them. And there's always the YouTube videos, which so many people recover just from that. But if they need extra help, that's what the questionnaire is for.
Amazing. And of course, all of this is linked in the description. And I love that you have so many levels of support, from free to lower touch to really hands-on, depending on what people are looking for. So recovery is available at every financial level, from free all the way up to like, I really want hand-holding throughout every step of this process. And I've interviewed so many people, Miguel, as you know, coaches from your program, so many people that have recovered using your program. I can't believe how many people I interview that are just throwing around terms from your program like they're like everyday household terms, because just it's working so well and resonating for so many people. So I have a lot of respect for you, for the work you're doing, for your incredible team. So I just really appreciate you being here. Thank you to everyone who's joined us live. You guys have great questions. Keep them coming in the comments. We'll do our best to answer them there, and let us know if these live sessions are helpful, if you'd like us to do more. And hopefully Miguel will be okay with coming back.
Absolutely. Anytime. This is always fun, and hope you guys got lots of value out of this. The most important thing now is go try to implement even just one thing from this. There's a lot of videos, a lot of information online, but really it's the implementation that makes all the difference. So get out there, implement this stuff, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much, Raelan.
All right. Thanks, Miguel. Goodbye, everyone.
See you guys.